A measure on the ballot in Oakland this week aims to make it much harder for certain landlords to evict their tenants without just cause.
This past May, our Susie Steimle exposed a loophole in the city's housing law that allows those kinds of evictions, and now she says that some landlords are rushing to kick tenants out before that loophole closes.
So you just don't want to explain why you're evicting these two women? These are two single moms?
This is the Oakland housing crisis, up close and personal.
I don't think that this is the right time to speak. I'm sorry.
A landlord dodging our questions about the tenants he's about to evict.
And I understand that everybody needs to make some sort of profit, but at what cost?
Tarima Pettis is one of them.
I'm a professional woman sitting here making a decent living.
She's a nurse working full-time while raising 3 children and a grandson in the upstairs unit of this West Oakland triplex.
I honestly don't have a plan as I sit here today.
That's scary.
That's very scary.
Robin Jones, who lives downstairs, is also getting kicked out.
I was shocked.
She's raising a daughter with special needs on a paycheck not much above minimum wage.
It is my job to make sure my daughter have a safe place to stay. And that's not something that she should be worrying about. She's worried that, we are going to be sleeping in our car.
The 2 single moms have been paying their rent on time with no complaints or problems so far. But this year, the next door neighbors bought their building. The neighbor's son, Oliver Zeruto, moved into unit number 3 and immediately slapped his newly acquired tenants with a 60-day termination of tenancy notice.
It doesn't make any sense because when you go owner occupied, he already has an apartment, so why does he need both units?
Zeruto may not need both of their units for himself, but he can still legally evict any tenants living in them. That's because of a little-known exemption to Oakland's just cause eviction law. Unlike tenants of multi-unit apartments who can only be kicked out for certain specific just cause reasons, tenants of duplexes and triplexes can be evicted at the landlord's discretion, without restrictions, as long as the owner lives in one of the units themselves.
They figured out this loophole with just cause, I believe it is, and they figured if they brought their son into the deal and moved him in the downstairs unit, that would enable them to put us out. And that's exactly what happened.
You can move in, and then once you've lived in the property, then the restrictions on eviction and stuff go away because it's your home.
Earlier this year, we exposed how realtors selling triplexes in Oakland exploit the loophole, coaching would-be buyers on how to evict tenants for profit. You might remember Mark Hammond. He was living in a duplex that was on the market at that time.
The real estate agents, they sold it like that as an opportunity, as in you can evict these people quite easily, they follow these steps, and then you can, get that long-term tenant out.
His building was quickly snapped up, and just as quickly, he got his 60-day eviction notice, forcing him to pack up.
They closed on a Friday, and on the Monday I got served in person. And that was kind of what fits into what your investigation was about.
After our investigation, Oakland voted to put a measure on the November ballot that would close the so-called duplex loophole.
And your investigative report shows what that problem is.
The main opponent for what's now being called Measure Y is the East Bay Rental Housing Association. It's a group that represents landlords. We reached out to them, but they didn't want to comment for this story.
Tarima and Robin say they've had the same response.
There was no conversation. They refused to speak to us. If they had have just come over and had a conversation with us, I would have not been opposed to paying a little more.
Instead, both women have just 2 months to find another place to live.
I never thought that I would be in this situation, but here I am. It's real. It's a crisis.
What do? You just keep your head up, and that's all you can do.
In Oakland, Susie Steimle, KPIX 5.
Now, Mark Hammond, who Susie mentioned, was able to find a new place to live, but his rent has now doubled. And that's the same story many other evicted tenants are telling us. And while some can afford it, others cannot. And we will be following this story.